my mind, I was able to think and process. And if I let him get back up, he's going to get back up. I was like, let me finish this right now. And I caught him with that left hook, and then I caught him again with that right hook just to make sure the job was done, because I was calculating his hands wasn't touching the ground and his knees weren't touching the ground, but I know he was still going down. To make sure he wasn't get back up, I had to let those last two off, man.
Combat Sports Report. Only on SportsGrid.
He's just only 2,300 points behind. So even if he does win at Memphis, he's still going to be behind Scottie Scheffler in the points by 300. So why? I mean, I want Scottie Scheffler to show up in Memphis, but does he need to? If Rory's not showing up and the third place guy, even if he wins, isn't going to pass him?
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
What do you make of the season that Barkley had last year as he piled on the yards to get over 2,000, and what can that look like this year?
His year could have been much better with different circumstances here. So he was great. I assume he'll be great again. You want to take Jahmyr Gibbs? I don't have an issue with it, but, Barkley, you're going to lose the tush-push.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Big Fish is the best player in the WNBA. She is running away with the MVP award. Why is that? Caitlin Clark, injured. Asia Wilson, not playing at Asia Wilson level, but it's more about the fact about what's around her has been an issue. So to me, Fish is almost like the MVP because everyone else has gone down in some way, shape, or form.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Having some fun here on a Wednesday morning. By the way, Joe, you wake up tomorrow, it's Thursday. You're going to have pro football on your television here with a Hall of Fame preseason game. You're going to have the Major League Baseball trade deadline. And then when you wake up the very next day, it's the month of August here. Now, usually dating back as a kid, you couldn't stand August. Oh, no, August means September's right around the corner. And those jolly fun days of late June when you're out of school in July now turn into the back-to-school commercials that hit the TV and away you go. Now, as I get older, I love the fact that summer is here because I like warm weather, don't get me wrong. But, boy, you just fast forward and get me through to the month of late August, early September, the hoodie weather, hanging out, cooler temperatures, the leaves changing, and football in the air. That's what I love. So we're a couple sleeps away from the month of August, which means if you're in high school, if you're in college, you play sports, you're headed back in that heat and humidity.
Yeah, no, you are, especially in my neck of the woods here, Donnie, in South Florida. In fact, I believe, high school football's already been playing for the last couple of weeks as they get ready to start. It's absolutely nuts. But it is football season. And, I can tell you this, there's a lot of talk coming from the South here with the Miami Dolphins and what kind of season they're going to have. We'll talk way more about that over the next coming weeks, too. It's interesting, to say the least, what we're hearing.
It feels like if there's ever a meme or a picture that goes, what is the Miami Dolphins? It's like a shoestring about to snap that you're just trying to hold on with down there. Now, when we talk NFC West football here, not really any teams like that. Arizona's thinking they're going to have a good season. The 49ers thinking they're going to have a good season. The Los Angeles Rams think they have a good season. But we don't quite know what we're getting in the Pacific Northwest from the Seattle Seahawks here. A lot of changes in the offseason. We saw Geno Smith leaving town and Sam Darnold coming to town from the Minnesota Vikings. Some changes at the wide receiver position. You trade DK Metcalf here. You're now saying that, you know what? Smith-Njigba is my lead wide receiver, and we're going to feed him here. You also pick up Cooper Kupp off the scrap heap from the Los Angeles Rams, who felt like we can't use this guy anymore, and maybe he revives his career in the same division, but just a few hundred miles north of living in California. But now let's take a look at Sam Darnold and put him on the hot seat right now. So buy or sell for Darnold that he is going to be an upgrade from Geno Smith at quarterback this season. What do you think?
Listen, he's been there. He's done this. He's coming off one of the of his best season as a pro. And listen, I root for him because I think he got totally the shaft with the Jets. Shocker. Had to play with 9 different offensive coordinators and head coaches, including Adam Gase, which almost ruined him. So to see what he was able to do last year, my question is, okay, how much does coaching matter? Was Sam Darnold responsible for the results that he had a year ago? Or was it the coaching staff there with the Minnesota Vikings? He does get Clint Kubiak, who he was with his time in San Francisco, calling the shots here. So I tend to look at this team and say, I think, unfortunately, it's a step back this year. I don't necessarily think that's because of Sam Darnold, but I just think, given in totality here what we're going to get from this team compared to the 49ers, the Rams, and Arizona, I think this is your last place team here in the NFC West.
Yeah, here's the tough part about it, too, because Darnold does have talent. And if you surround him with talent, he can succeed. Like, if we looked at the statistics last year from Sam Darnold, but just didn't say this is Sam Darnold's numbers, 4,300 yards, 35 touchdown passes, 12 interceptions. You said not only that team make the playoffs, that team went deep in the playoffs. And you might have had a guy that was vying for a top 5 MVP votes here. But the fact that it was Sam Darnold and the way it ended, if he picks up one more victory, I think it was the last game of the season against Detroit, and then the last game for them, obviously, was on the road in a wild card round against the Rams. He wins one of those games, he's back in Minnesota with a big contract, and we might not even be talking J.J. McCarthy, because you're right. You almost throw out the entire season for those 2 games. Now, granted, is it the biggest stage out there? You got to win those football games. Yes, we all understand that. You played a very good Lions team, couldn't win. You played a Rams team that was damn near headed to the Super Bowl once they won their game, facing then the Philadelphia Eagles and almost taking them to the wire. And by the way, if the Rams would have beat the Philadelphia Eagles, they would have been hosting the NFC Championship back in L.A. They may have gone to the Super Bowl. So when I look at Sam Darnold, I'm high on him. But I do think it's an upgrade over Geno Smith. I never liked Geno Smith. I always thought there was limitations to what he can actually do. Are we talking about Sam Darnold as the next Tom Brady? No, we're not. But finally, as you pointed out, Joe, so astutely, the kid didn't have a fair shake entering into the NFL. And so many times that happens, the high draft picks, if you don't have the coaching of the infrastructure, bad habits accumulate, and your confidence goes out the window. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was this the guy that on one primetime game was saying, I am seeing ghosts right now. I don't even know where to throw the football, to then having a 35 touchdown season and how it rebuilds. But you're right. If DK Metcalf was there, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and you added Cooper Kupp, and you said, all right, well, Lockett's a little bit older. We're going to go Cooper Kupp's route. Let's see what we can do. I'd be a little bit more excited. But I'm with you. When I look at Sam Darnold and when I look at that team, competitive, yes. Winning that division, nope.
No, they are going. Listen, there's 7 new starters, I believe, on the offensive side here. The offensive line is still a work in progress. But I also don't see the Seahawks asking, him to drop back 40 times a game, Donnie. I think with Kenneth Walker and Shar, I think they are going to run the ball. That's what Clint Kubiak does. It's all about everything sets up from the run here. So I think the less you have to ask this offensive line to actually, drop back and protect Sam Darnold, I think the more offense they can get via running and the running game, I think they'll be okay. But I don't think it's going to happen right away, Donnie. I think it's going to take time for all of this to come together with all those new pieces on the offensive side.
Yeah, decent schedule that they have as well. Opening day is going to be at home against the 49ers. You always love that, too. And you might be getting the 49ers at the best time where maybe they're not at full gas at their wide receiver position, and maybe they don't want to give Christian McCaffrey 25 touches on opening day and say, hey, he's got to last all 18 weeks here and 17 games. Then you take a look at being on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. That'll certainly be a tough one. But any road game typically in the NFL, if you want to win or at least get a cover, is a tough one. Then they're home against the Saints. Like, theoretically, sometimes you look, Joe, and it's just how do you start your season where the vibes go 0-3, oh no, we're all getting fired, 2-1. Hey, you know what, guys? We might be able to make something out of this.
Yeah, and then you notice, too, there's an awful lot of cross-country trips here for Seattle on this schedule. So, the good thing about Seattle over the years, even with Pete Carroll and even with McDonald, they've been pretty good on the road in those spots, but my goodness, there is a lot of cross-country trips here. Will the defense hold up? It is the best part of this team. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah, and also a defensive head coach here certainly like to put that flag in the ground and say, all right, we're going to play good defense first. We're going to run the football second. But always in Seattle, the questions about those offensive line is going to hold up. Can they hold up? Because if you're getting hit as the quarterback, you're not going to last all that long. But I do like the way the wide receivers are setting up. Like Smith and Jigba here is going to be their number one. It was clear. It was him and DK Metcalf. And they said, you know what? DK wants a lot of money. We don't want to pay that. We can get a nice draft compensation package back, and we'll go with Smith and Jigba. Cooper Kupp, we'll see what we get. If he can return any way, Joe, to his form that we saw him with the Los Angeles Rams, that's a plus here. And say what you want about Valdez-Scantling. You might say, like, oh, he's not a great wide receiver. He does one thing and does it really well. I'm tall and I'm fast, and I'm going to stretch this defense. So all components can work in conjunction here. But you're right as well. Seattle's going to be able to run the football and have success. That's going to help out certainly with the play action fakes from Darnold. So not buying into the Seattle Seahawks doesn't mean we can't make some money here with the Seattle Seahawks at this point now either. Now, coming up next in the next segment, Joe, we're going to have some fun with this because always with NFL franchises, it's what are we doing next? The coaches don't want to lose. The general manager doesn't want to lose unless the ownership says it's okay. Tanking in the NFL for a quarterback that might not be there? Come on, let's go back and talk about it.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
To tank or not to tank is a big-time question that NFL franchises certainly make, and it's a calculated decision. Should you tank for a player that you think is going to be your star quarterback? And if you do tank and that star quarterback ends up staying in college or gets hurt or actually wasn't that good to begin with, you could ruin your franchise for a couple years here. Why are we asking this question? Well, Arch Manning always comes up as a point of emphasis here. Ultra-talented quarterback. When he comes out, he's supposed to be number one. But the thought process is he coming out next year? Mary Kay Cabot, who's a beat writer for the Cleveland Browns, she stated yesterday, Jimmy Haslam said he knows the Manning family and expects Arch to stay in school for 2 years, which brings us up to a perfect fade the public poll here with Arch Manning. All right, before we read the Fade the Public poll here, let's go over and understand and analyze here what Mary Kay Cabot is talking about yesterday. Haslam supposedly has an ear to the ground that goes, let me pick up the phone to Manning. Should I tank this season or play? Is your son, is your nephew coming out? And you will give me 100% accurate answer that he probably is staying back in school for 2 years. What do we make of Mary Kay Cabot's question here to start with? And also, I should have said, not even a question, just an answer, a statement from Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, well, Haslam has also said that he expects a better season this year than the 3-14 one he had a year ago, and feels the team is on, the right track. But I'm not quite sure if he has looked at that quarterback room yet. And I'm not quite sure that you can anticipate a better season. But listen, I think it's a lot of misdirection. Donnie, the idea that he has any clue as to what the Mannings are planning on doing is hilarious. If the guy goes out and wins a national championship this year with the University of Texas and wins a Heisman, exactly why, Donnie, would you go back to college in any way, shape, or form outside of getting your degree, which he can get at any particular time? I don't understand it. The idea that, it's going to be 2 years for sure. Yeah, I doubt that very, very much.
Yeah, and also the Mannings pick up the phone from Jimmy Haslam, the Browns, like, hey, we're going to tank for your kid next year. Is he coming out? Yeah, he ain't coming out next year if you're tanking, buddy. You want to go ahead and play the season? We'll probably give a surprise. Like, thank goodness he's not going to Cleveland. So let's get back to the poll here. We listed it at SportsGrid on X here. Should NFL teams be tanking this season for Arch Manning? No, 78% on the live numbers here. Yes, 22%. Now, Joe, before I ask you the way you voted, I actually took a little bit of a caveat here in this because I do think NFL teams should tank if they don't have a quarterback and love the quarterbacks coming up in the next season in the draft. If you don't have a quarterback, you are not winning anything in the NFL. But should teams tank for Arch Manning this season, knowing he might not come into the NFL? Yeah, it's got to be a no at 78%, right?
Well, in this particular case, absolutely. Somebody please explain to me what Arch Manning has done to lead you to believe it's worth tanking an entire season to get him the number one pick. Are we kidding? I'm still trying to figure out how in the world he hadn't actually played at Texas over the last couple of seasons while he was there. So I do not understand it. Now, I will say this. There has been a couple of situations over the last couple of decades, Donnie, where there were proven commodities that we knew were coming out. The first name that comes to mind, Andrew Luck. There was nobody who thought Andrew Luck coming out of college was not going to be a franchise guy to take over your team. Same thing with Peyton Manning back in the day.
True.
That's not what we're talking about here. I mean, those guys would have been worth maybe, do we really want to go out and win this game in overtime? Or do we really want to take a step back because we know who's available? I don't know what we have with Arch Manning. I wish people would help me understand because I haven't seen the guy play yet here. That's out of a full season. So what are we tanking for in essence?
Like the expectations are incredible. To also understand this is if we're looking at Arch Manning from his Texas days, right? 61 of 90 passing, 13 total touchdowns, as you saw that graphic. But also the point is he is the chosen one already. So I get a kick out of this because to me, the chosen one comes out of high school. I'm going to pick my school. You don't have to tell me I'm starting. You're going to get a look at me after that first practice with helmets, shoulder pads, and shorts and go, I don't care if my guy just won the Heisman. This guy is better. So now I'm led to believe Arch shows up on campus as a freshman. He's not good enough to start. Arch Manning shows up as a sophomore. He's not good enough to start. And again, Quinn Ewers is a good college quarterback. Don't get me wrong. But Quinn Ewers wasn't a three-time Heisman Trophy winning, three-time national champion that you could not move aside. Those are the question marks that I have. And I don't care if the Mannings had some scheme that goes, I do not want my son/nephew starting the first 2 years. I want him to learn because he doesn't have to come out and have any pressure, and then you're going to unleash him junior year. That's not usually the way thing works. Like competitors who are really good at their sport and work at their craft, Joe, they are out there day one, and they will cut you to get in front of you in line to let you know that they should be starting. Do you have any red flags on Arch Manning saying, why couldn't he beat out Quinn Ewers to really be the starting quarterback over the past 2 years? It's almost like we got unbelievable quarterback play.
Listen, there's a whole lot that is head scratching over his first couple of seasons here in college football. But the reality is he's got all the tools. He's got all of the family members that he needs to help him be the best NFL quarterback that he can be. The problem is he's never been the guy in college. He's never had all of these expectations to lead, and Texas is the most unrealistic fan base there is every year. They've been waiting for this for how long, Don? Every year they're going to win a national championship. Yeah. Well, what happens if it doesn't work out that way and Arch Manning isn't as good as everyone thinks he is? Yeah, also, that's what we're going to learn.
Joe, I can go back on my X account and just be like, oh, my goodness, like, why is Manning not in this game? Now's the time to put in Manning. Another bad pass by Quinn Ewers. Where is Manning at this point? How athletic can this guy be and still be sitting on the bench? Well, maybe they are just mad scientists and mad geniuses down there in Austin, Texas, where they know better than everybody else, and maybe they do. But those questions, until he performs like a Heisman Trophy candidate, we're going to have a lot more question marks than we do have answers at this point. And teams tanking in the NFL going, man, this is what we're tanking for? A lot could change in one season, though. But you know what else can change? The standings in the NL Central. Oh, let's take a look at Milwaukee next.
Wow.
'If I have to think long and hard about whether or not you're a Hall of Famer, you're not a Hall of Famer. I don't need to argue stats. I don't need to argue whether or not you are great. If Ichiro Suzuki is not a Hall of Famer, we don't need to have a baseball Hall of Fame. Like, just pack it up and shut it down, because that guy was as good of a hitter as we've ever seen. And he was unbelievable from the first time he stepped onto the field for the Mariners until the end.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Drummond gives you minutes off the bench. I've always been a big Kelly Oubre guy. And Nick Nurse is supposed to be one of the top 5 coaches in the world. You can't tell me that at 12-1, the Philadelphia 76ers aren't at least something you need to consider as a sleeper to make it to the NBA Finals.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
He'll be your reserve, your extra guy here. Listen, we all need that. I say this all the time about outfielders. Most leagues, I don't know about your league, but we start 5 outfielders. Even if you're in a 10-team league, that's 50 outfielders. Plus you got some guys at utility. Plus you got some guys on reserve. 70 outfielders are gone. All right, so outfielders are extremely valuable here. And Moniak, if he's available, is a nice guy to pick up right now.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
I feel they're all completely justified. The numbers, they're nearly identical. And speaking of identical, I don't know if you saw that one, Craig. That was pretty wild. From winning their first major to winning their 4th major, both Tiger Woods and Scottie Scheffler completed that task in exactly 1,197 days. Both of them, in the exact amount of days, won their 4th major.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The NL Central Showdown, Milwaukee, trying to make a charge here over the Chicago Cubs. We got another matchup today, Joe Ranieri, at 2 6:10 Eastern today. 9:51, 9:52 on the rotation. The Cubs and the Brewers. It's Imanaga, the left-handed pitcher for the Cubs, on the mound, going up against Freddie Peralta. If we're looking at certain outlets here, -110s, -115s, -120s, wherever you're shopping at, roughly a pick'em in this contest money line split. You look at the total overnight, Joe, 8s, those have disappeared. They're all 7.5s. We could be looking at a pitching duel today in Milwaukee, but does Milwaukee get the edge again over the Chicago Cubs today?
Well, I mean, it's a great pitching battle, right? If I'm the Cubs and I'm on the verge of being swept by the division rivals here in Milwaukee, I want Imanaga on the mound, right? Now, he did miss, a month and a half with that hamstring issue. But I believe he's actually been pretty decent since he actually came off. It was late June, I think, just before July. And he's 4-2 and those 6 starts. So he is coming off his worst start, though, if you remember. 7 runs, 12 hits, couple of homers there to the White Sox, and that was on Friday. But this is a division rivalry game. I like it. I like the under 7.5. Milwaukee has been crushing it, but I think Imanaga bounces back after that last outing, and we got ourselves a good old-fashioned pitching duel.
Look, I actually think Milwaukee's the better team here. I liked them yesterday to get that victory. They got it. I like them again today. Like, finish off that sweep. You're right. Imanaga coming back a little bit banged up. And look at the lineup now for the Brewers. Last 30 days, Joe, they're really hitting left-handed pitchers. And if Imanaga can be hit, this team can step up. Frelick. Churio to be interesting. I don't know if he's going to be in the lineup today with that cramps that he said he had yesterday. He's probably going to be out. Contreras, Yelich, Vaughn. All those guys have really good statistics here. I'm going to ride the streak here with the Milwaukee Brewers at a cheap price, roughly a pick 'em. And I'll go ahead and I'll take the Milwaukee Brewers today. Let's look at those Metropolitans who had a pretty good start here finish to the late months here of July. But now we're taking a look at a couple game losing streak going up against the San Diego Padres today. Pitching matchup on the mound, Clay Holmes going up against Yu Darvish. And again, just like we talked about the Cubs and the Brewers, Joe, roughly a pick 'em either side, depending on where you're shopping at, and an 8.5 as a total. Juan Soto left the game last night. Probably precautionary, might be able to hold them out today if they want to afford to do that, because the Phillies right back on their heels once again, picking up a victory last night. What are the expectations for you today, Joe? Mets taking on the Padres.
Yeah, some questions, right? Like, so what are we getting here today? What does this lineup look like for the Mets? And I got to tell you, there's still some question marks here, depending on what we think we're going to get from Mr. Soto. But I do think the Padres at plus money, Donnie, at this point here, or at least they were when this thing opened up. I got no problem with Darvish. I think, listen, it took him a little while to get the rust off, right? But his numbers are starting to bear out that he's pretty much the same guy that we've gotten over the last couple of seasons that we have seen him. That should be good enough to give, I think, this Padres lineup an opportunity to get to Clay Holmes before the Mets get to Yu Darvish.
I got to tell you, like, we're looking at Yu Darvish. Like, we joke around like, boy, he used to be a really good pitcher in the past. You look at Yu Darvish, 31st on the card today, drew out of 32 pitchers last 45 days with xFIP of 519. Now, he's only had 16 2/3 innings pitched since coming back, but also in those past 45 days, a 9.18 ERA. Now, you might sort of, Juan Soto's the best hitter in their lineup. I don't care what the statistics say. That's the hardest guy to get out. If he doesn't play today, that's a big-time win for the Padres. But if he does play today, I like the way that Mets roster looks going up against Darvish today. But also, Joe, I like the way they looked going up against the pitcher last night. So it's like, all right, they struggled last night. Juan Soto might be down. It's not really advantageous. It is a true pitcher's ballpark. It's the middle of the afternoon, a 1 o'clock start, and this 4 o'clock East Coast time. I got to tell you, I think there's a chance that Yu Darvish can get banged around a bit. If I see Soto back in that lineup today, I'm actually going Mets in this one, Joe.
I don't know that they will, though, because I believe the Mets are off tomorrow, right? So you got a short
Extra
situation because they played last night. So, I don't think they will play him. I think they'll give him the extra day off. My problem is Clay Holmes is way over his career high in innings pitched. He was a reliever, not a starter. And I think that's going to be worth watching as the season progresses here. What does he start to regress here a little bit?
You know what's a good point you bring up, too? Because so many times we look at this like, oh, afternoon game, maybe this game stays under the total. Clay Holmes, last 45 days, Joe, 35 and a third innings pitched. How about an ERA close to 5 and a 4.72 xFIP number? Two struggling pitchers. Maybe instead of the side, sneaky total, both teams get the 3. You're right in that ballpark to see if you can certainly make that happen. I like it. Talking myself into afternoon baseball, which is a ton of afternoon baseball, which we're going to continue to hit in the next segment. Dodgers, Ohtani. How long's he going the mound? Come on back. We'll handicap it together right here on the early line.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Her and Howard at the 2-3 are extremely dangerous. But it's playoffs. And it's defense, and it's rebounding. You know the game. Offense exciting. You know, defense wins games. Rebounds win championships. Well, they got BG and Brianna Jones at that 4-5 combination.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Tiger used to really annoy me because all he did was win, and I was like, gosh, I just want to see some drama. I want to see Phil challenge him. I want to see some magic down the stretch and have Tiger pull it out in miracle-like fashion, like Rory just did at the Masters, you know, when something is really compelling like that. Scotty sucks the drama right out of the golf tournament as well. He just doesn't do it with all the panache.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
He was already doing the dusting of the spot of where this one was going to go after Augusta this year. And the players, you know, he's had this insane start to the year. We won 3 times. Surely Scotty Scheffler isn't going to have a resume by July that's going to be way better. It's just, there's no way. But here we are. It's Scotty Scheffler with 2 majors on the year.
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Los Angeles, the Dodgers. It's time to talk some Dodgers baseball. Maybe that wasn't the greatest impersonation of one Vin Scully at this point, but it is what it is. And tonight's game, 7-10. Great American Ballpark here. Shohei Ohtani's on the mound. Before we handicap the game in its entirety, Joe, give me this question. Are we stretching out Ohtani? Like, he's been the 3 innings. Is he just going to be 3 innings? Could we see him pitch well, let's just say not give up an earned run in 3 innings? Send him out for the 4th. Send him out for the 5th. When are we getting to that point? Is tonight? Could it be that point?
I don't know that tonight will be that point. I think all of this with him is going to be day by day to see exactly maybe how it all unfolds with him. But I think if he has relatively quick innings with the pitch count down by the time he gets to the, let's say, 3rd inning, there's no reason to believe they won't continue to roll him out there to kind of stretch him out. I do think you're going to get more of that next month here in August. I think you'll start to see more and more of that. But for right now, I think, hey, listen, if he's 12 pitches an inning, yeah, you can probably get 4 out of him, 4 or 5, innings out of him here. I think it all has to do with pitch count with him.
Yeah, taking a look also at that total, just going back to the game yesterday, 5-4 final, which the Dodgers did pick up the victory over the Reds. That game had 9 runs. Now, if Ohtani is on the mound and we can get 3 innings of shutout baseball, or anticipated that because he's been very good since he's been back to the mound, I understand it's going to be good hitting temperature there. Nick Martinez, not a great pitcher, but also I'm not getting the full gas lineup right now for the Dodgers. It's absolutely hitting on all cylinders. And also, 9.5 means you need 10 runs to beat me. Like, I'm an over guy, but I got to tell you, Joe, I look at the 9.5 and go, if Ohtani starts out this game good and Nick Martinez can just be a veteran pitcher, who says this game can't be 3-2 after 5 innings, which gives you 4 runs of leeway through the final ports of that game?
Yeah, I agree. Total is 5 for the first 5. In fact, I'm even seeing 5.5, Donnie. But again, if Ohtani is out after 2 innings or 3, and maybe things aren't working out all that well, but both of these games against Cincinnati at the Great American Ballpark, we saw 9.5s at the open, and we haven't gotten more than 9 runs in these first 2 games. So Dodgers keep scoring just 5 runs. We're not getting anywhere near double-digit final scores here. I don't know with Nick Martinez, who's been very serviceable for the Reds. Not sure that we're going to get it here today either.
Yeah, 444 xFIP over his last 45 days, which, again, just be average. If Nick Martinez is average, I don't think we get over 10 runs. But if it's a Dodgers with 5 on the board before we get out of the 3rd inning, well, then you're heading for an over at that point. I think the under 9.5 makes a little bit of a decent play, decent sense here. Let's go over to Detroit. Hey, look at Detroit beating up on the Arizona Diamondbacks as the Diamondbacks have no idea who's staying or going, playing today, leaving tomorrow. Nelson's going to be on the mound versus Paddock, a new acquisition here for Detroit. You look at this number. Overnight, minus 120s here. You see the graphic about to pop up at about a minus 134 price. Minus 135 is as high as minus 145s out there. Minus 140s, I should say, at Bet365. Look across the board. 9s as a total here, so runs are expected. It's one where you say sometimes, Joe, the handicapping doesn't need to be handicapped, because if you're betting on the Diamondbacks, you don't know who's in that lineup, who's available in that bullpen. Starting pitchers could be pulled at any time. That's Russian roulette right there with the Diamondbacks today, and that's a cheap price on the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, now they've won their, after they couldn't win, couldn't hit, couldn't do anything, Detroit has now rattled off, 3 straight wins here, and now we're talking about a Diamondback team that's lost 7 of their last 8. And I believe even in their last 4 or 5 games, this team looks about as disinterested as we have seen. And I think it started right after Josh Naylor was traded, and then the rumors coming out about Suarez and everything else. And is Merrill Kelly's last game, and it's Zach Gallen's. This is a defeated ball club right now, and you can see the at-bats and the way they're approaching each of these games. And we mentioned it on Monday. We said, this is a fade team till Thursday, until they figure out who, what, and where. Arizona is one of those clubs that everyone knows they may not be there tomorrow outside of a handful of guys. Not a good time right now for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, Brandon Fault was having a decent month here, and yesterday, 4 2/3 innings pitched, 11 hits, 7 earned runs given up, bounced right out of that ball game. And then you look at the lineup for them. Of course, we didn't have any Eugenio Suarez. He's listed in the projected lineup, but there's absolutely no way that Eugenio Suarez can wind up in the lineup today for the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's one of those games where you might not even get that lineup card till late, Joe, because of what we think might happen here to the Diamondbacks as early as today.
Yeah, and again, they haven't scored, but they scored 2 runs last night. They got shut out over the weekend. They've only had a handful of runs. This is not a team that is exactly locked in at the plate. But I'll tell you this is going to be a stretch-out game for Paddock, because they're going to want to see what this guy has. He has not had a quality start, Donnie, I think, in, 2 months? It's been a rough go. If the Diamondbacks are going to get it going, Paddock might be the guy worth it. If you want Arizona, I would only look for him in the first 5. But otherwise, I just think Detroit is too much.
Yeah, if that team walking around like, hey, we'll play with you a little bit in the beginning, 3-1, 4-1. All right, we're done. Ends up 12-2 like it did yesterday. We'll find out sooner than later. You take a look at Washington and Houston, an afternoon game. And yes, Houston actually won a baseball game yesterday. Mackenzie Gore will be on the mound, the left-handed pitcher. Boys, he had a rough go of it as of late. Gusto is on the mound here for the Houston Astros. Like Gusto, mucho gusto. Yeah, he's out there. Minus 120 price, though, across the marketplace. And you take a look at a total that's listed between 7.5s and 8s here. Hard to get a read on Houston outside of that lineup doesn't look too good on a day-to-day basis. No matter, even if it is Mackenzie Gore and you're supposed to smash him, can this team actually provide some offense? I'd lean towards the under, even though Gore stinks and Gusto isn't much better.
No, they're not. But I'll also tell you this: they did get some good news, the Astros, because Jeremy Pena is at AAA doing a rehab, and Yordan Alvarez and Jake Myers, by the way, are ramping up baseball activities, which means the Astros are getting a little bit closer to having a lot of their starters back and a lot of big bats back. So if they can weather this storm, I like them here today at home to get it done against just a struggling Washington team who, again, even Gore's been getting lit up here. There's no reason to think that the Nats are going to rally behind him here in any way, shape, or form.
The cavalry and the help is on the way there. You would figure for Houston, those big bats get back in the lineup, certainly going to help you out. But I was talking about Mackenzie Gore. His last 45 days, Joe, 36 and a third innings pitched. How about a 4.95 ERA and a 5.19 worst on the card xFIP number?
Yeah.
You take a look at his last 30 days, 86 batters that he's faced. How about a K rate here of only 17%, a walk rate of 16%, a weighted on base percentage of 347, and a fly ball rate of around 40%, which means those balls flying out, hard hit contact, have a chance to leave the yard. Some of those batters that you might like in the lineup today, Yanier Diaz in the middle of that lineup as a right-handed batter, a 350 ISO power number over the past 30 days in Major League Baseball. Looking at Ryan Gusto, he can't get lefties out. By the way, it's a couple lefties on that Washington team. If you say, you know what, forget about what those lefties do at the plate. You just like the lefty matchup. Anticipated lineup today in this early afternoon game for Washington, Joe. Abrams lefty, Wood lefty, Garcia lefty, Bell lefty, Lowe lefty, Lyle lefty. So that's 6 out of the 9 from the left-handed spot, which is exactly how you get the Gusto. Could we have a sneaky, we don't like these lineups, but we don't like these pitchers either all that much. Maybe a sneaky total here, possibly?
It can be. But, again, that Washington bullpen is a mess, and they can't be trusted. So if I'm looking at the over, I'm hoping Houston gets to Gore early. Gore moves on. That bullpen gets in, and I got myself a lot of runs coming in the second half of this game.
Smokes them up at that point here because you're looking at wins in these wins in the late July count the same as August and late September. So you might as well rack them up when you get them. If you take a look at the Houston Astros in that game, needing a victory, why? 4 games ahead of the Mariners, 5 games ahead of the Texas Rangers. And now lost 2 games in a row. The Rangers were red hot. Maybe they can find their level here for Houston and get a little bit healthier here, as it turns out. One team not playing good baseball right now after playing really good baseball, that's the Toronto Blue Jays. Yes, they have 63 wins on the season. Yes, they're up 4 games over the Yankees, but a bad time for a losing streak, which we're in now. We're going to handicap their game next. Maybe a win today. We'll find out.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Her and Howard at the 2-3 are extremely dangerous. But it's playoffs. And it's defense, and it's rebounding. You know the game. Offense exciting. Defense wins games. Rebounds win championships. Well, they got BG and Brianna Jones at that 4-5 combination.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Tiger used to really annoy me because all he did was win, and I was like, gosh, I just want to see some drama. I want to see Phil challenge him. I want to see some magic down the stretch and have Tiger pull it out in miracle-like fashion, like Rory just did at the Masters, when something is really compelling like that. Scotty sucks the drama right out of the golf tournament as well. He just doesn't do it with all the panache.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
He
was already doing the dusting of the spot of where this one was going to go after Augusta this year. And the players, he's had this insane start to the year. We won 3 times. Surely Scotty Scheffler isn't going to have a resume by July that's going to be way better. It's just, there's no way. But here we are. It's Scotty Scheffler with 2 majors on the year.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
No doubleheader today, Joe Ranieri, but an early start in Baltimore. And by the way, getting out of town, travel day, and Toronto wants out of here in the worst way. They just can't get a win. 4 straight losses for Toronto. Still in command of the AL East, but boy, they could have stretched that lead out. It's going to be Barrios today versus Kramer. And if we look at that total, 10s across the border. Heat and humidity and the hot bats of Baltimore, not Toronto, providing that offense today. A -110 split, depending on where you're shopping at right now. Coming in the series, I'm like, ooh, I love Toronto. Leaving the series, ooh, I don't know if I like Toronto anymore, Joe.
Yeah, listen, they've kind of been sleepwalking here a little bit, haven't they, Donnie, coming into this series? Yes. Now they got a 4.5 game lead in the American League East. And we knew, listen, they weren't going to win every game, but they have righted the ship enough, I think, that at this price and trying to avoid with Jose Barrios on the mound, he's been pretty decent. I like him better than I like Dean Kremer. I think there's a good opportunity here at this price to buy a little bit lower on Toronto, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But Baltimore has won 5 straight, and they're healthier than they've been in a very long time. But I'll ask you this, Donnie. There is still a lot of rumors and questions about Baltimore pitchers and players that could very well be dealt here over the next 24 hours. So a lot of question marks with Baltimore. They're playing good, but at this price, how do you not back the Blue Jays?
You're right about that. Like, sooner or later, you have to start to provide those statistics, because you still look on a day-to-day basis against right-handed pitching. Man, Toronto absolutely rakes. Luke, Springer, Guerrero, Bichette, Barger, Clement. Take a look at Luperfido, Heineman, even like you have one batter, which is Ernie Clement, under par. Let's just say with ISO and weighted on base percentages against righties. Everybody else sky high. Yesterday, I'm like, oh, that game number 1 looks really good. It's heat and humidity. They got 4 runs. I needed 5 runs. It still didn't even matter. They got killed in game number 1. And then the bats didn't even show up in game number 2 in a 3-2 loss. So I'm with you on that. 93-degree temperatures, Joe. Once again, early start, wind blowing out the left field. There should be runs in this game, and Toronto should be able to bounce back. Can they? Or does that certainly losing streak extend out to 5 games? We'll see. That's a 12 o'clock start right off of the bat here. Next game up on the docket here, Boston and Minnesota. Bellows on the mound versus Matthews. A slight favorite here towards Minnesota. Overnight around a 135 price. Now we're taking a look at the -122s, the -120s here, with money coming back in on money coming back in here on Boston. Bello versus Matthews. Where do we sit in this game? About an 8 total. Another early start in Minnesota.
Yeah, and, it's good for Minnesota. They got Zebby Matthews back. He was shelved a little bit. The guy is an absolute strikeout machine. The guy has been absolutely crazy right now. I did see, I believe, his total strikeout prop at 5.5, I think somewhere in that ballpark overnight. And we've got a Red Sox team that it doesn't exactly, everything's not exactly contact against righties. They're better against lefties, but at righties, especially over the last couple of weeks, we got a 26% strikeout rate right now against righties. And no, this is a big righty who can blow the ball by them. I like Zebby Matthews. I like that strikeout price up and over 5.5 against this Red Sox team.
Be interesting to see how this one plays out, too. 77-degree temperatures, double-digit wind blowing in. If you like some of those bats for the Boston Red Sox, Duran's got some decent statistics against right-handed pitching. Same thing with Will Abreu, some good contact numbers. We'll find out how that plays out. But always interesting, too, Zebby's back on the mound. Even had a thought process here that Bailey Ober was back on the mound today, but I do have Matthews listed there in that 110 start. So away you go. So Ober must be coming back closer and closer to getting back with his team at this point. Now, let's move on to the next game, and that's the Yankees. The Tampa Bay Rays in town once again. Zach Littell's on the mound versus Will Warren. A favorite here for the Yankees that opened up overnight around a minus 150 or so price. Now we're seeing this dip down around that minus 140 number, a 9 across the board. If we take a look, total wise, weather, 88 degrees at first pitch, light wind blowing out the left field. A night start tonight for those New York Yankees taking on the Tampa Bay Rays, Joe.
Yeah, and why would we look at anything else than what we looked at yesterday? Give me the over here.
Yeah.
I got no problem with it. We said it last night. We couldn't understand the $2 mark on the Yankees yesterday with Max Fried, who hadn't exactly been great. Big effort by him last night through 111 pitches, I think, into the 7th inning. You can tell the Yankees were serious about getting one back last night. Now you got Will Warren and Little. To me, with these temperatures and the wind blowing out, I am, and that bullpen in New York almost blew it again last night with Devin Williams. Give me the over. I don't see why we'd look at any sort of under in this series here.
And again, when you have those heat and humidity conditions here, which is what we wait for in Yankee Stadium, use them to your advantage. Look at Grisham, Bellinger, Stanton, Chisholm, Dominguez, McMahon, and also Austin Wells, all really good numbers against right-handed pitchers. And Zach Littell, not a great pitcher by any stretch. If we're lining him up his last 45 days, a 3.46 ERA, which is good, slightly higher xFIP number of 4.16. And maybe he's used to pitching the heat and humidity in bad ballparks, because it's not as if, Joe, you go on the road to Yankee Stadium, and then when you go home, you turn around and be like, hey, this thing looks exactly like Yankee Stadium, just not the stadiums around us. So these, like, home and away is actually home and home for both of these teams, because they play in the same ballpark, just in different states at that point, the way the dimensions are absolutely laid out. But Littell, not a strikeout guy, and that's usually the first way that you get yourself damaged in Major League Baseball. Looking at Will Warren, his last 116 batters he's faced, he has struggled here mightily with left-handed batters. You look at the left-handed batters today, Simpson's a lefty, Lau is a lefty, Aranda's a lefty, Lowe is a lefty. Oh, they got a lot, by the way, a lot of lefties here. But I should say this, the only right-handers in the lineup tonight, Yandy Diaz and Junior Caminero. So that means we could have 7 left-handed batters in the lineup, which is something that Will Warren does struggle with. Ooh, sneaky team total if it doesn't pop off the page for you right there for the Rays, Joe.
Yeah, well, and don't forget, Zach, he's got a bit of a home run problem this year. You mentioned it. Not a lot of strikeouts. Fly balls, that is not a great recipe for success at Yankee Stadium in a hot, humid day with the wind blowing out.
My goodness, here we might get some runs. Say, love to see it. There are some 7.5s out there, 8s in other games, but there are ththose 9.5s and 10s creeping in, just like the game we just talked about, Toronto, Baltimore. A 10 down there, heat and humidity in the Charm City. The next game we're going to go to here after the break, that's going to be Texas and Los Angeles. That's the Angels here. Nathan Eovaldi has to be the stopper today, because you don't want to see a losing streak when you're finally starting to climb back into the race in the AL West here. More Major League Baseball talk next as we shut it down on the early line right here on the SportsGrid Network.
New to casinos and not sure what to play? Well, try blackjack first. It has a lower house advantage compared to other table games, making it especially player-friendly. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Her and Howard at the 2-3 are extremely dangerous. But it's playoffs. And it's defense, and it's rebounding. You know the game. Offense is exciting. You know, defense wins games. Rebounds win championships. Well, they got BG and Brianna Jones at that 4-5 combination.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Tiger used to really annoy me because all he did was win. And I was like, gosh, I just want to see some drama. I want to see Phil challenge him. I want to see some magic down the stretch and have Tiger pull it out in miracle-like fashion, like Rory just did at the Masters, when something is really compelling like that. Scotty sucks the drama right out of the golf tournament as well. He just doesn't do it with all the panache.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
He was already doing the dusting of the spot of where this one was going to go after Augusta this year. And the players, he's had this insane start to the year. We won 3 times. Surely Scotty Scheffler isn't going to have a resume by July that's going to be way better. It's just, there's no way. But here we are. It's Scotty Scheffler with 2 majors on the year.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Get your Major League Baseball fill right here on the Sports Grid Network, Sirius XM Channel 159, and get it on a Wednesday, which is Hump Day, because tomorrow, a very light card. But then again, we got the pristine uniforms of the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the old throwback uniforms of the Detroit Lions. It's going to be beautiful on your 4K screen tomorrow night as the NFL does return. And also, there's something called the Major League Baseball trade deadline. But before we get there, one more game to take a look at today. That's the Angels and the Texas Rangers, Joe, out there in Los Angeles. Need a win for those Rangers. They go to their ace, Nathan Eovaldi, on the mound. -125s, -130s in the landscape right now. A total that's listed at 8 to 8.5, depending on where you're shopping at. Eovaldi versus Soriano. The Rangers get back off the mat and claim a W today out there in Anaheim.
Yeah, they better do something. You don't want to go ahead. You had such great momentum, and now you've got your ace on the mound. And Soriano, listen, has been the de facto ace of the Angels. Kikuchi seems to be running out of steam. We saw him get beat up a little bit yesterday. But, yeah, I still like what Eovaldi brings to the table here. I think this is going to be maybe a little bit lower scoring early in this game. So I like the pitching matchup for both these teams, but I like the Rangers pitching matchup better. So I'm going to go with Eovaldi and the Rangers in the first 5 in this one. I think they got a pretty good shot of getting out and playing from in front against Soriano.
By the way, also, I do think that under makes a lot of sense. Soriano's last 45 days here, 46 and a third innings pitched. How about a 3.66 ERA, a 3.26 xFIP number, and the last 122 batters faced? He doesn't allow all that much hard contact, or should I say powerful contact. He's a ground ball pitcher, so if you're looking for home runs, probably not your guy. I think I might be with you here on a little sneaky under, because Nathan Eovaldi should certainly do some damage on the opposite side as well. But now's the time. We like to end the show, have a little bit of fun, and before we go, it's bye.
Bye.
Ah, wow. Did you hear that voice, Joe Ranieri? Did you hear that nice singing voice? Did you hear that nice singing voice actually is?
Yeah. I don't know. I hope I can still have kids after listening to it, though. How's that, Donnie? My goodness, that was...
Who do you got today, Joe? What do you got over there?
I'm going afternoon baseball, and I am looking for a bounce back here by Logan Webb and the Giants. He's had a couple of rough outings in July here. Seems to have run out of steam a little bit, but there is no mistaking Logan Webb is always better at home than he is on the road. And I can't think of a better lineup to go up against this Pirates in order to get back on track here. I don't like the Giants offense. You and I both know that. So instead of worrying about bullpens getting involved, I like the under. I think Webb shuts down this Pirates offense. I think Burrow's the rookie here for Pittsburgh. He has actually pitched kind of well, as there's no reason to expect that we're going to get some sort of big run scoring affair here. First 5 under 4 for me in this one.
I like where you're going there. Yesterday, let me down. I needed one more run out of the San Francisco Giants to cash a ticket. Of course, they only scored one run against Bailey Falter yesterday. For me, as I take a look at my best bet of the night here, it's going to be sneaky. The Atlanta Braves, I want to buy them when they're down. I want to buy them when Ronald Acuna is not in the lineup and nobody's looking the direction. Why? It's 92 degrees at first pitch today in Kansas City. It's hitting weather. The wind is blowing out to center field. Angel Zerpa is on the mound, a left-handed pitcher. He might go 1 or 2 innings. You know who's coming in behind him? A guy by the name of Thomas Hatch to throw multiple innings, 1, 2, or 3 here. Both of these teams not necessarily in the playoff hunt. Hint, hint, Atlanta's been really bad. But I look at this lineup, Profar, Riley, Murphy, Ozuna, Harris, White against left-handed pitchers to open the game here. Pretty good statistics. I'm going to take a team total with the Atlanta Braves over 4.5 at a -110 price. Sometimes you got to be a little bit contrarian. Oh, we only want the best teams that score runs every night. Give me a team without Acuna. Nobody's looking. Bullpen game. Sting me for 5 in that game. Don't care if the Braves win and get beat 12-5, Joe. Just give me the 5 out of the Atlanta Braves, and we'll live with that tonight. Little contrarian action for the people out there.
I like that because you know what's happening, Donnie. They're all going to be running the other way, and I like the look here. I like the idea, and they still have, let's face it, some guys that can hit the ball in that lineup.
Exactly. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you buy in and say, hey, look, I don't care what that line was yesterday for Kansas City. I'm taking them. And Kansas City got the dub yesterday for you, Joe.
Yes, that's correct. Seth Lugo earning that extension, pitched very, very well yesterday for the Royals, and they held on to win.
Earning the extension here. And by the way, tomorrow, people, when you wake up and you turn into the early line, there will be football on your television later that night. It feels like we were just watching the Eagles win a Super Bowl. It's the way it is. For Joe Ranieri, Donnie Rightside, thanks for tuning into the early line. See you bright and early tomorrow morning.